Hey, I'm Max and welcome to my idle game tutorial. In this tutorial, at the end we should have this result right here, which includes a updating graph that updates every 10 seconds with the new dollars that you have, different coins that you can buy and sell that changes price randomly, and that gives you an interest based on how many you own. So for example, this one I have 22 now, and every 10 seconds it gives me interest based on that and shows in my wallet. Today we will add an option to decide how many we want to sell or buy, and also add a button to input the max amount, and add a little bit of randomness to the coins going up or down. Okay, so first what I'll do is enable my info menu so I can see my menu for my info, and I'll actually disable trade to make sure I see everything correctly. Now in here I want to add a UI input field. Now I will drag that input field right above the cell, and I will rename it to cell field so I keep things clean. I will actually set the color a little bit darker to fit the theme a bit more, and I will change under the field the enter text to enter amount so it's a bit clearer, and I'll make it bigger, let's say 30. Yep, that's good. I will also add a button under it to enter the max amount, so I'll put it, let's say, next to it right here. I'll put my button sprite, I'll rename it to max and put the text as max. Okay, now I will duplicate it and rename it to buy field, and I will set the button to the other side. So first of all, I'll move everything right here, and the button I'll just move it to the other side like this. I think I'm also going to make them a bit larger, and also the buttons for buy and sell a little bit larger. Okay, so now in my script I will add public input field, sell field, and buy field. Now in my buy I'll do int amount equals to int.parse buy field.text. I will also create a int price equals to the price of the crypto that we have right here times the amount, and actually instead of int it's a big number, obviously. Now here I'll check if the dollars is greater than the price and remove the price if it is, and add the amount. And I'll do the same thing for sell, except that instead of using buy field I'll use sell field, and over here I'll do plus price and remove amount. And here, instead of checking if the own amount is bigger than big number 0, I'll do big number amount, and I will actually do greater than or equal, because if we have the exact amount it's okay too. So then if I go in my game and I input my buy field and sell field, I can enter, for example, 3. Oh, 3. The text is very small, I need to fix this, and I just bought 3 and sold 3. So to make the text that we input into it a bit bigger, I'll set the font size to the same thing, or actually I set it to best fit, so depending on what you put in it's going to fit it. So buy field text best fit as well. So now if I go in I can tap 5 and it's there, and I actually want to set it to white or gray, I'll do it after. So I can buy 5 and I can sell 5, sell 4 then. Okay, so it doesn't work if the amount is the same. I'm going to check this out. I think I forgot to do the greater than equal in the big number. Now to fix the greater than equal, I think it's right here. I might have forgotten. Yep, if you do greater than equal for the operator, you need to do it in the return as well. Otherwise it's just the same thing as above. And here you can see if we input something that's not a number in the input field and we click on the button, it's going to try to convert it into an int, but it won't be in the correct format and it's going to cause an error. So if we want to make sure that the int that we put in the string, so the field text, is valid, instead of putting it in the int parse, we can simply create the amount and then do int.tryParse sell field.text and out amount, which is going to try to put it in the amount, and it's going to return if it worked or not. So we can add a bool success to see if it worked, and if it did we can continue doing the rest. So if not success, we can just return because the string here is not going to be valid. We can do the same thing for the buy, but with the buy field instead of sell field. And now if I try to buy, let's say, E, you can see it doesn't do anything. If I try to buy 5, it works. If I try to sell 5, it works. Now let's do the buy and sell max, which is going to get the max value you can buy or sell. So I'll do a public void buy max, and that is going to set our byField.text equal to the price of the crypto that we're currently looking at. So cryptos at crypto info, which is the one we're inspecting right now, dot price. And we actually want to divide the amount of dollars we have by that price to see how many we can buy. So we'll do player data dot dollars divided by this. Now we actually don't have the big number for division yet, so I guess we'll try to do it now. So the BigNumber Division, we'll get the result copy n, that's the same. Difference between the two, that looks fine. If they are on the same power, we want to divide the n by m. So here I will remove the index and do a division right here. And over here, if we do a division, now it's going to do the division. Let's hope that works fine. And we'll do all of that in parentheses dot format to format it into a string. But there's one thing with format though, is let's say the value is 1 million, you can buy 1 million of them. Well, it's going to put 1m. And that's actually fine. Like if the player wants to buy 1 million of something, he shouldn't have to put like 1 and then 6 zeros. So we actually want to allow the letters into our inputs. So over here above the sell and buy, I'll do a private big number amount. And I'll do, let's say, a bool for a buy, and when it's going to be true, it's going to be buy, and false, sell. And amount is already taken apparently, so I'll do get amount. Now I'm going to create a string for the amount text, which is going to be equal to, so if we're checking the buy, we want to set it to byField.text, and else we want to set it to sellField.text. So this right here is just doing a if buy, set it to this, else set it to that. It's kind of if else on one line. Now I would check if that string has any sort of symbols in it, like m, and I'm going to create a big number based on that index if there is, and if not, I'll just do like I did below. So I'll do for int I equals 0, I is less than big number dot symbols, and I cannot actually check the symbols because they're private. I'll just set them to public, it doesn't matter. So dot symbols dot length I plus plus. Now in here I'll check if the amount text dot contains big number dot symbols at the position I, and up here I'll create a big number amount, and here I want to do amount equals to new big number. So now we need the number of the string input, but our string still has the symbol, so first we'll do amount text dot replace big number dot symbols at the position I with nothing. So now I should have only the number. So now just to make sure there's no error again, I'll do int amount int, and I'll do int dot try parse amount text out amount int, and if that worked, now I can use this amount int right here. And for the index, I'll use I because that is the index of the symbol that we're at. And while we're at it, we might as well make the amount float instead of int, so we can buy some parts of something. So let's say we want to be able to buy a 5.6 of something. So right here, just replace it with float, float.parse, and amount floats, or you can leave it at amount int if you want. And after going through all of the symbols, if the amount is still equal to null, so if it wasn't set, that means it didn't find any symbols, then that means we can do the same thing that we did pretty much. Float, float, amount floats, float.try parse, amount text, out, amount floats, and we can do amount equals to new big number and amount floats. Actually, just to be sure, let's not forget to check for success. In case someone puts something random in it, we don't want to cause any errors, so I'll just do bool success before the try parse and do if success before sending the amount. And over here it says that the amount is not initialized, so I'll just do equal to new big number 0, and here I'll just check if amount dot to float is still less than or equal to 0 or equal to 0, doesn't matter, and to float is a function. And finally right here we'll return our amount. Now over here we can do big number amount equals to get amount, and for the sell I'll put false and for the buy I'll put true. Now we need to do the times operator for big number. It's pretty much the same as we did for the division. At least I hope so, because I didn't try it before like I did with the other ones. So I guess I just copy the plus and I do times instead. And here I do times, here I do times. I remove the index just like we did in the division. Here I do times, and that should work, I guess. Let's hope it does, and if not, we'll check it out. So that should work now. New number amount, we don't need to do a new number anymore because that's a big number. And instead of remove, since it's no longer a float, we'll do minus equal amount. And pretty much the same thing down here for by, except that here we want to put true because we want to use the by field. And same thing, instead of add, we do plus equal. So now it adds the numbers. And I actually forgot to do the sell max right here, which is pretty much the same thing, except that instead of setting it to the amount we can buy, we'll set to the amount we own, which is obviously the maximum we can sell. Dot format, of course. So let's hope this works on the first try. I somehow doubt it. I'll go on my max for sell and I'll set it to sell max, and my max for buy, and I'll set it to buy max. Just like that. Now let's hope it works. If I hit max, you can see it puts 8.33. So it seems to be putting in the right amount, but I cannot buy it. So if you click on an error, you can see where it is. So here it says in the get amount at line 99. So it seems to be right here. And it says in the error, old value is the empty string and old value is the first parameter. So my guess would be that it's causing an error because the first symbol that we have is nothing and we're trying to replace nothing, so obviously that doesn't work. So what I'll do is actually start the loop of the symbols to 1 because I know 0 is always going to be empty. So now if I hit max and I hit buy, you can see it seems to not be working. Let's try to buy 3, and that seems to be working though. So I'm not really too sure why it's not working with the floats. My guess would be something with the buy. And yep, that's because in the buy we checked if we have more money than the price, but it's actually more or equal to if we have the exact amount. That's working too. And obviously our max function is going to give us the max amount, so it will get us to $0. Let's try it out. And pretty much $0, yeah. So now we have 7.69, and if we do this, and I forgot right here in the sell max to set it to the sell field. So you see that making games is kind of trial and error. You forget some things, you mess up some things, and then you correct them, and eventually everything works out. So here if I do buy, it sets it to 7.69, and if I hit sell, you can see it puts the same amount here, and I can sell it. So just quickly before I end this episode, let's add a little bit of randomness to the amount going up and down in cryptos, even though we'll probably change it later, just so for now we have something that at least kind of works. So here instead of adding 1, what I'll do is check if random.value, which is between 0 and 1, is greater than 0.5. If so, I will add 1, else I will remove 1, which is going to kind of make it vary, I guess. And here we don't need to update each crypto price after each one that we change. We can simply do it at the end right here, and it's going to update all of them. So let's say you want the fluctuation of the price to be a little bit more scaled to the total price. So let's say you have something at 1 million, you don't want it to go up and down by 1. So let's say you want to have a percentage, you can do crypto.price divided by 10. And now since that's going to give you a big number, you can do plus equal instead. And then down here it's just going to be minus equal, and now it should go up or down by 10% every time. I guess you can do something like 50, so it's 2% instead. And now they should go up appropriated to their scale price. So you can see this one is going up by about 20 cents, and this one is going up by about 10k, and this one by about 1k, so this is working fine. And they seem to be going up and down kind of randomly, and they're not all going down and up at the same time, so that's good. Now you can see that my coin here is getting scaled down to 0, and that's because we have our division happening until we're at 0. So everywhere we put number greater than 0, we can also add an index is greater than 0. And using that, when we go below 0, it's no longer going to multiply and reduce our index. And we just have to add this to everywhere we did that. So in the remove, in the divide, and in the subtraction with the result dot, in the division, and now I can put my price to something like 0.0001 and set the index to 0. And here in the format we can do if index is less than or equal to 0, just use the float. So now as you can see, our price is displaying fine. There might actually need to be a little bit more decimal, but in my case I just put way too many zeros, so I think I'll just reduce it. And as you can see, now it's working fine even if there's 4 zeros. If you try to buy 1M of something, you can see that it doesn't work. And I actually did some debugging to find out what it is. And I found that when you do replace, it actually doesn't replace the string, but gives you the string with this string replaced. So you can just do amount text equal to amount text.replace, and now it's going to work. So as you can see now, if I go here and I try to buy 1 million, it works. And if I try to sell 1 million, and even if I click sell, you can see it puts 1 million and it sells it. But there's still one little problem. If we click max, you can see it doesn't put it in the format for the big numbers. And also if I try to buy something like 1, you can see that after buying millions, it doesn't show up in the own anymore because the own is still stuck in million. So to fix the issue with the division not giving us the right format, we can add the both whiles after the division. So right here I'll add the other while as well. And that's because a division can give us a bigger or a smaller number depending on if we divide by a 0.00 something, which is kind of like a multiplication. And in fact, if you want to be very nice, you can also add the other one in the multiplication, although I don't think that's going to be needed for now. So now if we hit max, you can see it shows 1.04 million, and if we hit sell, 1.04 million. But the amount you own still stay in millions after you sell because it's stuck at 0. And we made it here, so if our number is 0, we don't update the index. So here for now, we might just be able to do if the number is equal to 0, then we set the index to 0. That might not be a very efficient or flexible way to do it, but for now that's gonna work. And now if we go into whatever and we buy a lot and we sell a lot, we can see our own goes back to 0. And now if I buy 1, I can see I have 1. There are a lot of zeros that are useless after it. So if you want the numbers to always have the right amount of decimals, instead of doing F6, which is always going to show 6 decimals, you can just do G, which is going to show up to 4 decimals. And if it's more than 4 digits, it's going to show scientific notation. So as you can see here, it shows a bunch of digits, and if it goes below, it shows e to the minus 5, which shows minus 5 after the 0. And for this one, it shows 0, and if I buy 1, you can see it shows 1. And if I buy 1.5, or actually right now it's commas, we might be able to fix this later, so 2.5. If you want to make it so we can type commas or dots, which right now we can only type commas, we can do amount text equal amount text dot replace the dot by the comma. And this way if we put a dot in, it's still going to work. So now if I try to buy 1.5, it should add 1,5. So it seems right now when we buy or sell, it doesn't actually remove it from our balance, so we need to check this out, but probably in the next episode because this one is already pretty long. But for the other coins, it seems to be working fine, so it's probably a problem with the large amount of decimals. That's probably not going to be an issue in a lot of idle games because usually they don't go in the 0.000 and stuff. But I'll still try to fix it, so if you want to do that, at least it's gonna work. Anyway, thanks for watching this episode of the idle game tutorial. Check out the other videos if they're out, and feel free to check out my other Unity tutorials.